Come to Remora TC to trade like a shark and not get eaten by one. Let's school together to protect and grow our money. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Tuesday, August 19th. There's a lot to cover tonight. The markets have begun to sell off a bit, as I have been predicting. So let's take a look at the tickers and see where things will go next. Right off the bat, we'll start with triple Qs. I've been talking about a lot of bearishness in the momentum indicators, and you can see with the price action today that there is further selling. This zone up here I talked about as being overhead resistance. I'm just going to shift it to the right. There you go. It still remains in play. I won't put it past the sharks to push price back up to retest again. Okay, I won't put it past them. But you can see that there is some selling with a bit of volume, not a ton of volume. Today at 52 million shares. So the prediction continues to be to the downside with perhaps a bounce support off of this thick trend line here at around maybe 545. Okay. Ultimately, my prediction of the overall move is to do the gap fill. So gap fill further down here, okay, with support at around 485 being the next zone. The 200-day is over here. It's moving over towards this side here. There may be a small bounce off the 200-day. Sure, I mean, that's always a possibility. You know, maybe what they'll do is they'll bring it down underneath this support line here, trend line, bounce it off of the 200-day to come back up and retest the trend line from underneath. So they might do that. You know, the annotation, I'll just kind of pen it in here. They might move it down, bounce off the 200-day, come back up, hit the resistance to then further move like that, okay? I'll just kind of leave that there as my annotation. Next ticker is GDX. GDX behavior similar to triple Qs. I talked about overhead resistance here in this zone, and sure enough, it is resistance. You can see the past week or so, price has been moving sideways, even though the shark signal came based on the RSI down here. I put the shark signal here, telling one another to get out. And then, okay, the selling has started with not a ton of volume. So I expect that they'll move price back up to retest this resistance area from underneath. They'll bring it back up, retest it, and then the selling will resume, okay? First real support area is down here at around $50, which also coincides with this trend line. What I'm going to do is extend the trend line. Let's just kind of move this over like this. Extend this trend line over. Eyeballing it. Okay, so like that. Okay. Lots of bearish divergence down here. You can see it. So I expect this move to, yeah, it's about a 15% move from where we were last week. Okay, down to the $50 zone. All right. I'm just going to slide this over. This is 200-day. It'll be something like that. It's fine. That's GDX. Let's switch to MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is doing what I expected. I talked about this resistance zone up here at around 397, almost 400-ish. You can see that there was some fighting in this area here, but subsequently, for my prediction, prices continued to move down, and now it's even below the 200-day. Actually, let me clean up this 200-day a bit. Kind of goes like this now, sideways. And you can also see that today's price action is pretty bearish. Lots of selling, a little bit more volume. You know, excuse me as I correct these, take these lines off. So yeah, you can kind of see it. The next real area of support, of course, they'll bounce it around. It may go sideways for the next week or so, but the next real zone of support is down here at around 295-ish down here. So from where we are now, I'll just kind of slide this down where we are now down here. So that's about another 12% move. Okay. But I'm just going to slide this over. All right. Prediction remains unchanged. Further low prices for MicroStrategy. There's a tiny gap fill down here. You know, it's so small, but I'm going to use it more as an indication of support down here. So it is a gap fill, technically speaking, but I think there may be opportunity for price to find support, because you can see this is all support here. This is support. Yeah, so when it comes down here, let's just kind of slide this over a bit. It'll behave in the same way. It'll be support. So that's at around 235-ish. Oops, like that, okay? All right. Switch to Microsoft and see how the price action has been for Bill Gates's old company. All right, we can see that the gap fill completed, okay? Completed today. I'm just gonna slide this over to the right a little bit just to show you that it filled today and lower prices continue. My prediction is unchanged. Just kind of slide this area over and I'll slide it down some. What will happen is price will likely come back up, hit the bottom edge of the gap fill, and that will be overhead resistance. So further low prices, I'll just kind of slide this over. Down to the 200 days, about a 15% move. As always, I've been telling folks to take their profits when they can. Take your profits because the selling will continue, okay? Some divergence there. I talked about how the peaks in divergence here, like this one, is a little bit of a fake signal that the sharks have been putting in, kind of a fake out signal, okay? But the selling really is coming. So that is Microsoft. Switching to Elon's company, Tesla. Tesla had their sell signal over here. This was back in the mid-May timeframe, start of June timeframe, the sell signal. And with that, prices have been moving downward on this trend line here. You could see that the price action retested this trend line and broke through. So you might say, oh, look at that, it's a bullish signal. But to me, there's no bullish divergence down here. What we have is we have bearish divergence up here, okay, with that shark signal. So this is the last direction change. And then all of this price action and all of this RSI movement coincides with one another. They're in parallel, which to me does not negate the last momentum change, which is over here. So because of that, I think this price action here is a false breakout to pull in more bulls so that they can take your money. So my thesis remains unchanged. You can see I have it all here from last week and weeks before. Further low prices continue to come. Just take your profits when you can. Okay, get out. Tesla is done. Let's look at Palantir. Palantir, okay. I talked about the shark signals and the bearish divergence that goes back all the way for a long time. You can see it down here. Okay, a lot of bearishness. And then the price action up here, I circled it, informing everybody that to me, it's all a fake out move. Okay, you have this rising wedge here, the pizza shape. I've talked about that. And with the pizza shape, it is a bearish signal, bearish pattern, I mean. And then I said, all this pattern action up here from a price standpoint is meant to suck people in so that the sharks can sell. And indeed, the selling has happened, right? All-time highs, and then many days of selling, then boom, they sold it down, did the gap fill. You can see that, very obvious. And then the volume is more substantial at 132, whereas all the other days is about 60 and 50 million. What we'll see is we will see price action move up some, okay? They're going to bounce it around within this box. So they'll bounce it around there, but the resistance remains at the underside of the pizza wedge, which I left here in the red highlighter. And my arrows remain unchanged in direction for the low prices. The next zone of support, may be the 200-day, but really, I put this 106, 105 price point as a support area. It won't happen right away. It's not like it's going to happen in the next week, but overall, over the next, I don't know, month, 2 months, price will come down here, okay? So my direction is unchanged. All right, it's Palantir. Let's go over to Northrop Grumman. Northrop Grumman has been moving sideways. The pizza shape here I talked about them baiting folks to buy, hence people have been buying while they set up for the short. I talked about this this RSI movement here, which coincides with the price action, which to me is a bit of how should I phrase this? It goes against my trading strategy. So I'm not saying that there is bearishness in the RSI, because there isn't. But the way that the price action is setting up here is for a short, for selling by the sharks. So I'm just going to slide things over for the low prices from about where we are now. Let's slide this over. So today's price action is up here. All right, so it's about a 11% move down to the gap fill. I expect that, okay? That's for Northrop Grumman. So if you're in this as a long-term investor, I suggest that you take some profits, yeah? Or it's up to you. You can ride the 11% move down. That's fine. It'll come down through here and we'll have to reassess where price will move next. Maybe in the next week, they might peak it up a little bit, perhaps above this high. So maybe they might move it to about 590, just so that the bearishness will show up down here. So I'll just kind of slide this up a little bit. Maybe they'll move it up just a little bit. And I'll add a line here to say that this is some overhead resistance. Okay. Oops, it's overhead resistance. There you go. And there isn't much upside. Okay, so I'll just leave that as resistance. In general, it's to the downside. All right, not many tickers that are showing opportunities for the upside. A lot of tickers to the downside. Let's look at General Motors next. General Motors, okay. Nice trendline support here, this thick one. And then you can see that the price action continues to move up quite a bit. What's interesting is the divergence isn't really there. I'm going to correct my RSI line here. And we can see that the movement on the RSI is really in parallel with the price action. So is this an opportunity to go long? I'm going to switch this up a little bit and say, well, maybe if you go take a long, take it if it's a long. All right, I'm going to make some corrections here, because right now the price action negates my prior thesis of a short, of a shark selling. Okay, the shark signal to sell took place over here. Okay, they did it there. But since then, the movement doesn't continue to confirm it. Okay. The last time it confirmed it was on this day, this candle here, the really tiny doji candle right here, indecision candle on this day, August 11th. You can see all the way down here, August 11th is down here on the RSI. So one would go like this, all the way like that. Okay. But since then, all of this movement has been a change in movement, in direction. So this was an indecision. Now price action continues to go up. So because of that, I'm not saying that it's a sell signal anymore for this time. What I will do is I'm going to connect some dots here, go like that. And the reason for that is I want to look for there. So right now I'm looking for bearishness to arrive anywhere along here, okay? Because I still think it's to the short side. So I think what they'll do is they'll peak the price up above here a bit, they'll bounce it around. It will then, here, let me annotate it, clean it up a little bit. They'll move price up above here, okay? Bounce it around. When they do that, it's going to show bearishness down here. Once it shows bearishness down there, then I expect price to then fail underneath this trend line and for the low prices, okay? So I'm waiting for the short setup again and the next shark to be drawn over here. So right now, no trade for GM. Yeah, no trade. No short trade, no long trade, just wait. GIS is the one long trade that I have been talking about for the past couple of weeks. I said this would be a nice entry down here if you can take it all the way down here, but I don't see the price action there. We can see that there was a breakout on this day, not a huge one, but it came on these two candles, okay, on the 13th and 14th. 14th, it came down, kissed this trend line as support, came back up, and then now it's been bouncing between this purple trend line as resistance and then this trend line as support here. Now you can see that this purple trend line, I put this green marker, green highlight, to say that a really nice trade would be when price finally busts through it and comes back down, okay? So it'll use it as support. It could happen within the day. You kind of have to watch the price action. It could be within the day. The price maybe tomorrow pushes up, comes back down, hits the purple trend line as support, and then you can use that as a nice long entry. I'm already in this trade. I took the trade over here, okay, on this, I think it was on this candle, on the 14th. I took a long, and I'm just kind of sitting, waiting for it to behave as I expect. My ultimate exit is where the 200-day hits, right? So the 200-day is, oops, clean this up a little bit. 200-day would be like something like that. So that would be my first exit. I'll take my profits there. And then, so that's about a 15% move from where I am right now. And then I'll let price bounce around and then it will get above it. I expect price to get above the 200-day and use it as support. So I'll likely get back into the trade long there. All right. That's GIS. Switching to clothing company, Abercrombie and Fitch. I talked about the shark signal, and I also, due to all this divergence, with price coming up using this as resistance and also resistance at the 200-day. You see my annotation there in pink. Sure enough, price has been selling down, and now it is staying underneath this 96 zone. Okay. Yeah, just for the low prices for this one. I'm in this one short, so I'm about 5-6% up on my trade. I took it about up here. And yeah, I expect it to continue down to this support area at about 75. Okay, so that's a nice trade. Okay, those are the tickers for today. I hope you've been following along and perhaps taking your profits when you could. And also, I hope you were able to follow along and make some money on the short side or the long side where I had given my opinions. If you liked my material, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, give me a comment, let me know what you think, what else you want me to look at, ask me questions, challenge me, and then we can continue to build a community. As always, good luck with your trades.